special presentation from News Channel 9, WSYR Syracuse.
Hello, I'm Dan Cummings, and welcome to Veterans Voices. Over the next half hour, we will meet 5 veterans. We'll hear their stories of survival, of service, and the challenges of re-entering civilian life. We begin in Fulton, where 97-year-old John McGraw sat down with me to talk about his role as an Army sergeant in the D-Day invasion, June 6, 1944.
When the front of that boat went down, we all said, okay. And we went, and when we got to the beach, we went right down, of course, on our stomach and started looking around, okay, where are we, what do we do?
What John and his company did is exactly what they had trained to do. Support the 1st Infantry in the assault on the eastern part of Omaha Beach. Job 1, sweep the beach for German mines. They did the job well, and John brought home a souvenir.
This is what is called a shoe mine. There was a brick of TNT in here. I brought this home with me. If you step on it, it releases the pin, and it's like shooting a gun. And it could blow your foot off. When we found these, our mine detectors don't touch them. So we had to use our bayonets and get down on our hands and knees and probe sideways from then on to do the mine detecting. There's a thing right up by the ear that beeps. When you go over a mine, it beeps. And so you stop there, of course, and dig the mines up. Yes.
This was your job? This was what you, once you
That was my job when I landed on the beach.
And on that beach, John saw things he will never forget.
There was a half-track truck on the beach, and there was a driver in it, and I knew that truck and he shouldn't be there. So I thought, well, maybe I better go over and tell him, get the heck out of the way. When I went over, and I jumped up onto the running board and looked. He had no top of his head. He had been hit with something, and that's when I knew I was in trouble.
And yet, miraculously, John's entire B Company survived D-Day and the months that followed.
As I say, I had 15 men under me, and I brought them all home.
Congratulations. About that homecoming, though, not what you might expect for conquering heroes.
I come home, walked in the house, and my mother and father, hi, and there was something much to say, well, get out of your uniform, get into your clothes, and get back to work. Nobody in the United States had any idea what went on over there in Germany.
But soon enough, a grateful nation would know full well how John McGraw and other brave young men of that greatest generation saved the world for democracy. So many never made it back home, but John did, and at the age of 97, he's now outlived his entire B Company, and he treasures the medals that he and they so richly deserve.
To me, it's something you don't talk about, but I am damn proud of what I did, yes. I have to say it that way, yes. I am so pleased that I was able to and did the job.
Job well done. John's been a member of the American Legion for 69 years now, and at age 97, he's also the oldest member of the First United Methodist Church of Fulton. When we come back, another 97-year-old survivor from the European theater and the Battle of the Bulge.
Sponsored by the Artisan Tattoo, fine ink for fine people, La Macchia Honda, and Joe and the team at Stanley Law.
A 97-year-old World War II veteran from Plant City, Florida, is remembering those who fell beside him during the Battle of the Bulge. He told reporter Steve Andrews that he believes only the grace of God brought him home.
When that artillery barrage started falling on us, they started running here and there. About 7 of my friends were killed.
97-year-old James Money says it wasn't his generals that got him through the Battle of the Bulge and World War II.
If God hadn't been watching after me, I'd have never made it.
A couple of close calls during the massive German offensive made James a believer in miracles. His mission? Fight through Nazi heavy armor and infantry to relieve the besieged 101st Airborne, still holding on in Bastogne.
But they didn't know how determined we were.
James left a wife and 2 children when he went to war. He kept the locket of his son's hair in his billfold, the billfold in his chest pocket, when a German sniper shot him.
It hit that billfold and busted it open and left his hair sticking out the hole. So they flanked him to the right, got close enough and threw the hand grenade in the hole on him and got him.
In the frigid cold, James was sent to the far front, where he came under friendly fire. His equipment destroyed, James, out of desperation, jumped up to show his 4th Armored Division insignia.
A boy from Plant City named Fred Miller said, "Hold your fire." I said, "I know that man." That's why I say that miracles are still happening.
Indiscriminate artillery shells kept him guessing, but James claims he was never afraid. He saw combat, killed when he had to.
That's what I was ordered for. You get them before they got you.
On this day, James Money is proud to wear this hat. He believes it's a miracle he still represents a group of Plant City soldiers who are by and large gone, and a vanishing brotherhood some call the greatest generation.
I thank God that he was watching over me and brought me back.
According to James Money, Memorial Day isn't taken seriously enough by those who didn't go to war. He believes it's due to a greater power that he's here today, while others lost their lives.
Next on our program, we'll remember 2 Central New Yorkers who survived Pearl Harbor and passed away earlier this year. We will also take you back to Hawaii and meet another survivor of that infamous day that drew America into World War II. Welcome back. Earlier this year, in the same week of early May, Central New York lost 2 Pearl Harbor survivors. When he returned to Hawaii on the 75th anniversary of the attack, this picture of Baldwinsville's Larry Perry at a gravesite spread far and wide, the emotions still raw after all those years. Larry died at age 97. Robert Lasher of Chittenango served aboard the USS West Virginia, and after Pearl Harbor, he was involved in at least 10 major battles in the Pacific. Lasher was 96. Japan attacked our Pacific fleet in 2 waves that Sunday morning. More than 3,500 Americans killed or wounded, 21 ships sunk or damaged. Kathy Muneno spoke with one of Hawaii's 4 remaining Pearl Harbor survivors.
Good morning, sir.
Very nice to meet you.
Thank you.
Everett Highland.
Hello.
Fist bumping.
You give fist bumps, there you go.
Quipping.
Every day above ground is a good one.
Obliging.
Can we take your picture?
Certainly.
Take a picture with you?
Yes.
Thank you.
At Pearl Harbor's Arizona Memorial Visitor Center, volunteering his time for 23 years now 95 years old.
It gets me out of the house.
And close to his memories as an 18-year-old sailor on the Pennsy, the battleship USS Pennsylvania.
I was a smart teenager. I figured if we ever go to war, the last place in the world I want to be stuck is in the radio quarters down in the middle of the ship.
And that's where he was December 7th, 1941, when peace shattered.
This is not a drill. This is not a drill. General quarters. General quarters. All hands man your battle station.
The Pennsy was in dry dock across Battleship Row. Highland ran up to the battle station on the aft deck. He says 5 high-altitude bombers flew overhead.
They all released their bombs at the same time. We took one hit.
The ship's downs and caisson in front of the Pennsy destroyed. Behind, smoke billowing from the Arizona.
The other fellows with me, Harold Comstock, Clarence Oss, Joe Mahofsky, Jim Owen, Joe Pace, were killed.
Highland wounded beyond recognition.
And he came over and he bent over and he looked at me and he said, "Who are you?"
And I said, "It's Highland." And all he did was back away going, "Ah, ah, very good for the morale." Evidently, I was quite a mess.
9 months of recovery and he was back on the ship, only left the Navy after the war ended.
Thank you very much.
Thank you for your service.
You're welcome.
Highland's a retired elementary school science teacher. He moved to Hawaii in the year of the 50th anniversary of the bombing of Pearl Harbor when he met his wife, Miyoko, from Japan.
Thank you.
He used to volunteer here 5 days a week. Now it's down to 1, with no plans of going to none.
I'm as proud as these fellows are with their uniform on. They're in a great organization, and I appreciate you.
Thank you, sir, for your service.
Welcome back. We've heard some great stories tonight from veterans who served America in some of the great wars and conflicts of the mid-20th century. But now, Farah Jabrin and I join you from Syracuse University's Institute for Veterans and Military Families because, Farah, in the more recent conflicts, the returning veterans find a whole host of new challenges, don't they?
That's right, Dan. They're coming back, maybe changing careers, they're coming back to families, and maybe even going back to school. So it's resources like here at SU and out in the community at Clear Path for Veterans and maybe even the rescue mission. We spoke to Bill Fleming, who deployed to Vietnam in 1969, serving on the front lines on the jungle grounds, only to find 50 years later that he had been battling PTSD, and it's only been since recently that he has found some help and relief through a four-legged companion.
A relaxing walk on a fall day in Chittenango, one of many daily treks taken with Bill Fleming's service dog Kiara by his side.
Good girl. You checking in?
Bill, an Army veteran who served in Vietnam, says it's Kiara's presence that makes an outing like this even possible.
I never realized until I had her how many places I avoided. Yeah. And it opened up a whole new world to me.
A new world Bill felt was off limits. A walk on a local trail always rushed, Bill feeling the need to press onward and keep watch. For decades, Bill admitted he suppressed post-traumatic stress symptoms with alcohol.
You know, he hears things like shell shock and battle fatigue, and that wasn't the issue. The issue was being in a constant state of being alert. It was like a permanent condition, like I was rewired to that. I heard a guy say one time, you know, when were you in Vietnam? And he responded with last night. and that struck me because there is some truth to that. It doesn't go away, but it certainly can become manageable. Come.
50 years after returning from Vietnam, Bill finally began training with Kiara, turning off Bill's need to be alert at all times and his need to drink. Leading Dogs to Vets efforts at Clear Path, Ryan Woodruff says the impact can be incredible. Bill and Kiara are walking proof of that.
Let's go.
A lot of the times you'll see veterans that leave the military don't want to put themselves in a vulnerable state and are unwilling to actually put their hand out and ask for help.
Once avoiding any and all crowded places, Bill and wife Mary Beth just finished a cross-country trip in an RV, making memories they never thought possible.
I don't know what the future is going to hold, but I look to more opportunities like that, you know, rather than how can I avoid this situation.
Sleepless nights are fading for a Vietnam War veteran finally feeling he can be at ease.
At ease and looking ahead to the future, but it was going to take more than a companion animal to help Navy veteran Will Lord when he returned from service 15 years ago. Excited to get back here to his home and his family, only to find them both tragically ripped away from him. He would spend the last 10 years sleeping on the streets of many cities, including Syracuse.
Searching for a way to escape the pain, Navy veteran Will Lord left his Kentucky hometown. The place he rushed to return to was shattered. Missing his family killed in a small plane crash, Will began drifting across the country he once served.
And then I'd move on to the next one, hitchhiking, walking, whatever it was that got me where I was going. Didn't really ever have a destination. Didn't matter.
Losing his family, life didn't matter. He turned to drugs and alcohol to numb remnants of pain. 10 years sleeping on the streets, Will wandered through several states, feeling invisible.
I remember sitting on a bench, and it was like 1, 2 o'clock in the morning. And I remember thinking that there's billions of people in this world, and no place in it for me.
Will, was there ever a time when you were living on the street that you just thought, this is it for me, nothing's ever going to change, this is how my life's going to be?
Oh, most of it, yeah. I mean, I had resigned myself to the idea of that I would either wind up in prison for the rest of my life, die of an overdose, or be killed.
His dangerous path led him to countless towns and cities, ending up in Syracuse by chance.
Syracuse was just, I went left instead of going right one day.
In the Salt City, Will leaned on survival. In yet another place, he would be homeless.
I was staying on top of a bridge, an abandoned bridge, and I was also sleeping on the roof of a record store.
Offered help many times over the years, Will always turned it down, afraid of feeling what life was like without drinking and doing drugs. Something changed when he met Jim Hawley from the rescue mission.
When he was walking around, I guess at that point I'd had that thought of being very small in the world, and I knew I had to do something. So I said to him, I said, if you really want to help me, get me into a rehab center.
I'm driving in the van, I'm looking for homeless people, and I look around, and at times it could seem hopelessness for me, but there is hope.
Each year, the rescue mission helps about 150 homeless veterans get off the streets, get clean, and get back on track. Jim, a Navy veteran himself, says people may be walking by a homeless vet in Syracuse and not even know it.
They served our country, and they shouldn't be sleeping outdoors.
Nationally, the number of heroes without a home is staggering. 11% of the homeless adult population are veterans. 50% have serious mental illness. 70% have substance abuse problems. Breaking from the bonds of addiction, Will is sober, 19 months and counting. He drives a truck for the Salvation Army and is in his first semester at OCC.
The first thing I think of every morning is I'm grateful that my life has changed. And then the next thought I have is that I need to be ever vigilant because it could go back just as easily as it could get better.
Every time I see Will, I'm just so proud of him.
No longer invisible, Will wants to help the homeless realize no one deserves to sleep in the streets without hope for tomorrow.
My hope right now is just to live quietly. I've lived loud far too long. I hope to really be able to say to people that you can go from a point of no return to something.
Well, that hope for tomorrow for Will and for so many other veterans just like him often starts right here at Syracuse University's Institute for Veterans and Military Families. And as you mentioned in your story with Bill Fleming, Farah, Clear Path for Veterans also provides that same type of hope.
Right, Dan. Clear Path, also the rescue mission, a lot of resources here in Central New York. And we want to make sure that anyone watching who needs those resources can find them. So we do link you to all of these places on localsyr.com.
We'll be right back.
Sponsored by the Artisan Tattoo, Fine Ink for Fine People, La Macchia Honda, and Joe and the team at Stanley Law.
Well, we know that freedom is never free, right? It comes at a very steep price. We hope the stories that we've shared in our Veterans Voices program helps remind us all in every generation of the gratitude and admiration that we owe to all who serve America in the armed forces, past, present, and future. I'm Dan Cummings.